What if one of the most powerful voices of the civil rights era was silenced not by chance, but by design? Welcome to Epic Time Journeys. Today we're diving into a mystery that still echoes through the halls of history, the death of Malcolm X, a government plot. On February 21, 1965, Malcolm X stood before a crowd of 400 in the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. Just as he began to speak, chaos erupted, a disturbance in the crowd. A man shouted, then gunfire. Malcolm X was shot 21 times and pronounced dead shortly after. He was only 39 years old. But was this simply the act of radical militance, or was it something far more sinister? Malcolm X had long been a controversial figure. Once a prominent minister in the Nation of Islam, his split from the group in 1964 turned allies into enemies. He founded his own organizations, the Muslim Mosque Inc., and the Organization of Afro-American Unity, shifting his focus from religious nationalism to global human rights. His voice grew louder, his message sharper, and his audience broader. And that made him dangerous, not just to former allies, but to powerful forces within the United States government. Declassified FBI files reveal something chilling. Malcolm X had been under surveillance for years. The FBI tracked his movements, tapped his phones, and infiltrated his circles. He was marked as a threat, an agitator capable of uniting African Americans and connecting their struggle to liberation movements around the world. And it wasn't just the FBI. The NYPD had its own secret unit, BOSS, or the Bureau of Special Services and Investigations. Their agents also shadowed Malcolm. On the day of his assassination, NYPD officers were conspicuously absent from their usual posts inside the ballroom. So 3 men were convicted for the murder: Talmadge Hayer, Norman 3X Butler, and Thomas 15X Johnson, all members of the Nation of Islam. But, even from the start, questions plagued the case. Hayer admitted guilt, but he insisted that the other 2 men were, innocent. For decades, those doubts lingered. Then, in 2021, a groundbreaking development: the Manhattan District Attorney's Office reinvestigated the case. After months of reviewing documents and interviewing witnesses, they concluded that Butler and Johnson were wrongfully convicted. The government had withheld key evidence that would have exonerated them. 2 innocent men spent over 20 years in prison, while the real story remained buried. So, who really killed Malcolm X? Some point to internal tensions within the Nation of Islam, others to law enforcement's decision to ignore credible threats. And then there are those who believe this was something more deliberate, an orchestrated effort to eliminate a man who challenged the very structure of American power. Did the US government play a role in Malcolm X's death, either through action, inaction, or manipulation? We may never know the full truth, but what we do know is this: Malcolm X stood for justice, transformation, and fearless truth-telling. And in doing so, he made enemies far beyond what most of us can imagine. As we revisit the life and death of Malcolm X, we're not just uncovering the past, we're confronting the power of truth, the weight of justice, and the lengths to which those in power will go to silence dissent. Thank you for joining us on. Until next time, stay curious.